Shabbat Shalom. This week's Parashat Sh'lach has followed me for years. I come back to it every time I feel like I'm being asked to scout the land, to take a look around and report back whether it's safe to live, be, or show up as my full self in Jewish space and queer space, or just the world. Shlach anashim, send for yourself people to scout out the land. God tells Moses to send 12 leaders, one from each tribe, to check out Canaan, the promised land. Now, it isn't just a reconnaissance mission, right? It's a test. Not just of the land, but of the people's trust, their imagination, their courage. The scouts come back, and 10 of them give what Torah calls dibara'ah, a bad report. They say, yes, it is a land flowing with milk and honey, but the people are giants. The cities are fortified. We are small. We were like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so we were in theirs. That line always gets me. We were like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so we were in theirs. It's not just that the scouts were afraid. It's that they had already decided how others saw them. They internalized their smallness, their powerlessness, and they projected it out to the world. They wrote themselves out of the story. As a queer, bi, trans Jew, yeah, I know that feeling. There were moments I walked into the shul and felt like that. I felt like a grasshopper. Moments in school and work, even in Jewish communal meetings where I shrunk myself to survive. I prejudged the room, assuming rejection before anyone else said a word. I've caught myself editing my story, even here, my voice, my name, my gender, even my kippah. Yes, even my kippah, just to avoid being seen as too much or not enough. That's what Sh'lach is about. It's not just about a story of failed leadership. It's about a story of what happens when fear overwhelms our sense of self, when we see ourselves as less than. We give up the future we deserve before anyone else has the chance to take it from us. And that's heartbreaking. But Sh'lach also gives us Caleb, my namesake, and Joshua, the two scouts who see the same land, the same giants, the same cities, and respond with, Alo na'ale, let us go up. Let's do this. We can inherit this land. What's the difference? The Midrash teaches that Caleb had to silence the people before he could speak, before he could even speak. It says, Vayahas Caleb et ha'am, Caleb quieted the people, and Rashi says he started by referencing Moses in a way that made everyone listen. Is this all that Moses has done for us? The people thought he was about to join in the critique, but instead he flipped the script and praised Moses, shifting the energy in the room. Sometimes shifting the energy is the bravest move of all. We know what it means to live in a world dominated by the voices of 10. Those who say it's too dangerous, too early, too complicated. Just wait until next year. Maybe tone it down. Maybe don't use that pronoun right now. Maybe don't tell them you're trans or Jewish or both. But Caleb and Joshua's model is something different. They speak up, even when they're in the minority. They see the danger, but they also see the possibility. They see the fear, but they don't let it define them. That's queer Torah if I've ever heard one. And here's the hard truth. The community sides with the 10. They panic. They cry. They say, we should go back to Egypt. They literally say they want to appoint a new leader to take them back into enslavement. That's what internalized fear can do. It can make us long for the version of oppression we've already escaped just because freedom feels too risky. And God responds with the heartbreak and judgment. This generation will not enter the land. Only your children and those, too, who trusted Caleb and Joshua. Now, I want to pause and talk about what happens next because it's the more painful moments of Torah. The next day, the group of Israelites says, "Actually, we've decided to go, and we do want to go up to that land." But Moses says, "Don't do it. God isn't with you right now." And they go anyway, and they're defeated. And sometimes you don't get to hit rewind on a miscourage. The Torah isn't always gentle, but it was honest. And maybe that's what the story is ultimately about. What it takes to live your vision, to look ahead, to not just with your eyes, but with your heart, to trust that you belong in that land, in that space, in that story. At the end of this parashah, we're given the mitzvah that feels like a spiritual anchor. Tzitzit, the fringes. These fringes that I wear, I tied them myself. We're told to wear them on the corners of our garments where I tied them, to see them and remember all the mitzvot, and not stray after your heart and your eyes. And that's what the Torah says. It's kind of ironic. Earlier, the scouts saw the land and they panicked. Now we're told, here's something we see every day to help you remember who you are. Tzitzit are a kind of wearable anti-imposter syndrome. You see the fringes and you remember. You were brought out of Egypt. You are part of a people. You carry the mitzvot on your body, not just on your mind. You belong. When I wear my rainbow kippah or my trans flag talit, I created them as my version, not as a political statement, but as a spiritual one, a reminder that I am part of this covenant too, that my body, my queer, trans, neurodivergent, sometimes tired body, is also a vessel for mitzvot. And so is yours. This parashah, at its heart, is about how we see ourselves and how that shapes what we think is possible. It's about the stories we tell about our worth. It's about rejecting the grasshopper mentality and choosing to see ourselves as holy messengers, fierce builders, faithful scouts of liberation. And it's about choosing to tell a better story. Not because we don't see the danger, but because we believe in something deeper than fear. So as we stand at the edge of the land, whatever land that is for you, a new job, a hard conversation, a public act of pride, or just showing up to Shabbat as your whole true self, may we have the courage of Caleb, the vision of Joshua, and the fringes of memory to remind us who we are. We are not grasshoppers. We are not invisible. We are not too much or not enough. We are part of the people who walk through the sea, the desert, who stumbled and got back up, who were given Torah and told, this is yours. The land is good and we can go up. Shabbat Shalom. Can you hear out zone? Maybe God's will. Please like and subscribe. And Shabbat Shalom.